Welcome back to Respect the Process. I'm Kelly Hunter, and I'm Kelly Hunter. I don't know if we've...
Chris Stewart, nice to see you.
Hi.
Nice to
How
see
are
you
ya?
again. I remember you. You
I
used
know.
to be on TV.
Yeah, well, and I've listened to you.
Yes, I'm not doing Birmingham Southern anymore.
No,
been a while.
We haven't been in studio together for a month, and I was so excited because I'm like, get to be in studio together. We can talk some Alabama basketball, and Alabama goes and lays a big fat turd in Coleman Coliseum, don't they?
Wait a lady, you put it so eloquently.
As I do sometimes.
Just like the Queen.
I do.
You just
I've
sound
missed
like
you,
the Queen.
but
I've missed that. I haven't.
Yeah, that was a blue collar night. Was
It should have been crash helmet night. It was not good. And that was one of the things, in all seriousness, that Nate was so upset about, is that here we are. This is the night that we're kind of honoring and paying tribute to what we rally around.
Yeah.
No pun intended. What we hang our hat on, and then to play, to have Ole Miss play to that standard and not Alabama, was very disappointing. There's all sorts of things that you can point to and analyze and break down, and I know we'll do some of that. But the bottom line is they were tougher than Alabama was, which I don't think it's a red alert. I don't think it's a massive problem if you take care of it. Here's the problem. You go to Rupp Arena Saturday.
Yeah.
Ain't the place to just go and get healthy. And again, it's not necessarily about winning and losing. I'm not shocked Alabama lost to Ole Miss. I talked to a guy walking into the building that I'm like, look, they're capable of beating us. Yes, we should win, but they're capable of beating us. Even some of the people close to the program didn't think that their players were as good as Alabama's. They said, we got 9 guys who are all about the same, none of which would get meaningful minutes for Alabama. I disagree with it, certainly after seeing it in person. But Bama's got the more talented roster. Those guys just played harder and held on to the ball.
and took care of the ball.
I didn't think Ole Miss had a great deal to do with Alabama's problems in the first 5 minutes hanging on the basketball. I think it's a deal where it just started and it snowballed. And then once Bama got out of their own way a little bit, then Ole Miss started to play like Ole Miss on the defensive end of the floor. Still, you get into halftime, you go, okay, God, we were horrible. We were absolutely horrible. And I forgot the word that Nate used on air.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Was the word he used at halftime. There may have been another one. I can't remember, but it was, if it wasn't that, it was something else very clear and emphatic on his feelings, and they weren't positive. But he also, you also felt, okay, you've played terribly, and you're up 4 against a team that's got the exact same record you do, and you're at your place, and by the way, we're getting the ball first, start the second half. So here we go. We'll get a bucket. You get a 2 or a 3. Now you're up 6 or 7. You get a little momentum. Everything will be fine. No, you don't get a shot off because you turn it over again. And man, it just, by that point, Ole Miss started to realize, okay, we can win this thing, and if we'll just play better, we are going to win this thing. And so they did. They finally started making some shots and continued to do what they were doing defensively and got some key offensive boards as well.
Well, and Coach Oates, the number that just disgusted him was the 4 offensive rebounds. And then he's like, actually, it's only 3 because we missed 1 that they gave us credit for. It's just 3.
Yeah.
And at every level of basketball, because I yell it at my son when he's playing, I said, there's so many things you can't control, but you can control your hustle.
Yep.
You can control
effort is always under control.
Taking care of the basketball and hustle. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what frustrated so many people listening and watching last night, particularly when it got down within 2 minutes and they'd cut the lead. We'd gone, almost 5 minutes at one point without scoring?
Yeah.
We get to within 2 minutes, cut the lead to about 6, and you're going, I don't ever feel like we're going to get the momentum to get any closer.
Yeah.
Like you just never felt like they were going to get over the hump at that point.
Back it up about 5 minutes to go, maybe 6. It's a 12-point game. You cut it to 8. And I think there were maybe 6 even. No, it was 8. It was 8. You had, I think, 4 consecutive empty possessions.
Yep. Yeah.
And you had stopped them 3 times. You know, you got what you wanted on the defensive end, but you couldn't finish offensively, which we never thought with this team would be an issue. Never thought offense would be a problem at all. And you only get 64. A big part of that is Ole Miss, because not only are they one of the best around at forcing turnovers, they don't give it up. I think they average less 9 or fewer turnovers per game. And again, they only turned it over 7 times in the game last night.
Yeah, I mean, again, credit to Chris Beard and his land shirt, black bear, whatever we call him at Ole Miss.
Just don't call it Colonel Rebel.
Yeah, I mean, he like any team that he coaches, he had him ready to play. And it's a physical game. Whether Alabama anticipated that, which they should have, and whether or not they did. But you also never got the feeling that anyone was stepping up and ready to put the game on their shoulders. Because when you look, you had 2 guys in double digits. Mark Sears with 11, and then Aiden Holloway with 15.
Yeah.
No one else ever really, I mean.
Mark Sears with 11 is, look, it's not all on him.
No,
you're
it's
right,
not. But no one ever.
But that's not, you know, you always get the feeling that if he's got 18 in the first half, or if he has 2 with 4 minutes to go, he's still going to finish with 20.
Right.
Somehow he's going to get to that 20-point number, give or take 2. But, and sometimes it's, 27 like he had in Texas A&M. But that was tough. And, Aiden Holloway did have the 15, but only 1 3. I think he only had 2 attempts from 3. And that's to Ole Miss's credit. They didn't give you a lot of open looks. I thought there were a couple of times, those guys will both Holloway and Sears, most of the time, are not afraid to put one up from 23, 24 feet.
Yeah.
Because, one, they can make them. But also, especially earlier in the game, just taking them sometimes forces the defense to take another step out. They don't realize how far. And if you do that, you've bought yourself a little more space to get by them. It's almost to me, and I may be dead wrong. Nate Oates may say, there's nothing to that. You're wrong. But it's almost like, you throw a deep ball just to show that you're not afraid to in football.
Keep them honest.
I think if you are a good shooter, I thought it was a major mistake that helped Alabama at least have a fighting chance. Malik Dia was taking 15 to 20-foot shots on occasion. Every time he either just shot in the paint or very close to it or just went and chased somebody else's misses, we had no answer for him. But when he was shooting jump shots or shots from outside of 15 feet, it took him out of the middle. And he wasn't very good. I mean, he was chipping glass a couple of times. I think Alabama's the opposite. I thought a miss, even though they were getting the job done on the glass, I thought taking shots further out a couple of times, but not late, but earlier in the flow of the game would have helped. Instead, understandably, we're trying to get to the rim, but you couldn't get there without getting your head knocked off. And didn't shoot it great from the line again. This time, they went 14 of 16. Alabama, not bad, 73%, but you still missed 7 free throws. And a couple of those were 1-and-1s at a big crucial time.
Well, and also when
Keep talking. I need a drink.
Okay, well, when you surrender, and I'm going to say surrender, 19 points. They scored 19 points off of 21 turnovers. And Oates was quick to take the blame for himself, but also, and I think it's fair to say, when you have as many fifth-year seniors as they have on that team, blame goes to them as well. They know enough and have been through enough of these to be aware at this point in the season you're taking everybody's best shot. And then I think additionally it stung, you're at home.
Sure.
Conference game.
Yeah.
These are big games. These are good crowds. Your students are back on campus. This is supposed to be.
And if you win, it's just you and Auburn at the top.
Exactly.
And that was another one where you could have picked up because Florida laid an egg at home.
Yep.
Against, granted, a Missouri team. Florida feels, and I didn't even see their game. I saw maybe 60 seconds of that game. But I guarantee you Florida's sitting there every bit as ticked off or more so.
Yeah.
Because now they're 2 behind Auburn. They got to win 2 to make up to catch first place. But if Bama wins, you got a 2-game separation. And I know we got a ton of basketball still to be played. But you got 2-game separation with Florida. You got a chance to make 2-game separation with Kentucky.
Right.
If you can get a win. Or you've bought yourself a situation where you're no worse than tied with the Cats. Rationally, you looked at this week and go, okay, 1-1, we're pretty good. You're going to Rupp. Yeah. Regardless of who you are, if you're going to Kentucky and they're where they are as a top 10 team, you go on a Saturday, early Saturday afternoon, it'd be tough. But now you've put yourself not in a must-win, but you got to go find one that you weren't expected to get.
Yeah.
If you're a math guy, Nate Oates obviously is, we talk about that a lot. This is where you got to figure out some math that doesn't really add up, but you got to go find a way to get it done.
They were showing highlights, and of course they show Todd Golden. Every time I see them, I'm like, they show him, I'm like, is that a Make-A-Wish kid? How did they let him? Oh, that's the coach. That's right. That's not a kid who's over there. But, okay, so Alabama.
I love it when you say stuff that I think, so I don't have to say
Alabama went into the game ranked number 4 in the nation. AP poll, I think they dropped to 10 in the Pomeroy after last night's game. Both teams going into Saturday with Alabama and Kentucky sitting at 14-3. Mark Pope coach team. First time we get a chance to see Kentucky under Mark Pope and playing, of course, in Lexington.
Playing like teams that Mark Pope played for.
Yes.
Playing the way that Kentucky people want to see Kentucky play. He's, again, there's no reason we should be surprised that Mitch Barnhart made a great basketball hire. You should be able to get who you want when you're Kentucky. And that doesn't always, I mean, they did that before when they hired Cal. They went and got one of the biggest names and they were excited. There comes a time, though, where you realize, you know what, that doesn't quite fit because the way Cal wants to do it, and he's going to do it his way, and the guys are earned the right to be able to. Mm-hmm. But that's not Kentucky's way.
Right.
And that's okay that it's not Kentucky's way.
They've earned the right to
They've earned the right. Both,
both sides.
Both sides, oil and water, both important, but they don't always mix.
Right.
Rarely do. It did at times, but this is a much better fit for now. Can he do it long term? Everything is year to year now. With this model for college athletics, it's all year to year. And you can be great one year, terrible the next, but great the next one. It just depends on what your fortune is with recruiting, and that means recruiting veterans as well as freshmen or JUCO.
And retaining veterans as well,
That's what I mean. You're recruiting your own roster. So Mark Pope plays a style that they love. I thought one of the best intros that I've ever seen for a coach is the one they did introducing Mark Pope as the head coach at Kentucky. Did you see that? Do you remember?
I don't think I did. No.
I think everybody knew who the coach was. But in Rupp Arena, they had the press conference on the floor, and it was open. I mean, the arena was close to packed for the introduction of the new coach. A bus pulls in, a team bus with all the markings and everything. And all of Mark Pope's teammates from his playing days
Okay.
start to get off the bus, and it's all these guys
So it could have
that
been
were
any
a
of
part
them.
of. True, I see what you're
Kidding
saying,
now.
but the
Okay.
reality is, they know who it is. But this was a statement of,
Yeah.
you remember the fun times, you
Right.
remember the glory days, and it's an obvious endorsement
Right.
of their teammate.
Right.
We're not just gonna keep being
this is a
Kentucky.
Kentucky guy.
We're not just gonna be Kentucky. We're gonna do it the way you're used to doing it at Kentucky, the way you want to see it done. I thought it was and by the way, we're behind him. This may not have been the guy that was on your radar when Cal first left. I mean, heck, Nate Oates was one of the names Kentucky people really wanted, understandably so. Thank God that everything was kept in place to keep Nate Oates in Tuscaloosa. But they went and got a guy that's probably perfect for them right now. And so that was all part of it. It's, hey, this is the style and the era that you wanted back. These are the people that were a part of it. We believe in Mark Pope, so whatever doubt you may have had because his resume wasn't as big, wasn't as impressive, here's what we think. And this is our program too. We're the ones that did true blood, sweat, and tears. You invest your finances and your time and your heart pulling for it. We're the guys that you pulled for. We're the guys that actually helped make it what it is and what you wanted to see. This is our guy.
Oh.
And the fan base at that point has to get on board. They get excited, and that excitement has been honored so far with the performance they've had. It doesn't mean Alabama can't go in and get the win, though.
No.
They can absolutely get the win there.
Okay, so
Not,
that's
though, playing anything resembling
No.
what they played last night.
no. So that's at 11 o'clock this coming Saturday morning, which is a great time to.
Especially a road team.
Yeah, we were saying it's a great time for a tip-off. Tonight, as a matter of fact, the SEC Network is doing a triple header. I don't know if you've seen this.
Did not.
They're doing a 5 o'clock, a 7 o'clock, and a 9 o'clock game. So the last game is a 9 o'clock Central Time tip, which for those of us that work, I mean, if I'm sitting at home, I'd like watching a 9 o'clock game. For those of us that have to work these games, that can be a little late.
You want to know, and not that it'll ever happen, you want to know Chris Stewart is commissioner, not the way we do college basketball? Now that we've got,
I'd love to know.
what have we got, 16?
What is this platform that you're running on?
We're
here?
going SEC night,
Okay.
okay? And let's see. So you got 8 games that you're
Okay.
playing every week.
Sure.
Okay, every either Tuesday or Wednesday night. You go 8 games. So you're going 4 games on
Okay.
Tuesday, 4 games on Wednesday.
Okay.
You've got games that all start at 7 o'clock in their time zone.
Okay. Okay. So we're not staggering.
6:30?
No TV window staggering. Nothing?
Well,
Okay.
technically they are because
Okay.
in their time zones, that could be different. You could
Yeah.
you could go 6:30 or 7.
Okay. The folks at ESPN are probably going to want to talk to you about
Yeah,
this.
I'm sure they really care what I think.
But
But you play half the games on one night, play half on the other.
okay.
You play 2 of the games, your 2 marquee games,
Yeah.
on ESPN,
Okay.
ESPN2, your
ESPN Ocho.
ESPN or SEC Network is a whip around,
Okay.
primarily focusing on the 2 games that aren't, they're back and forth on the 2 games that aren't on ESPN. But if you have ESPN, ESPN Plus, you're able to download the app
Okay.
and you can watch whatever game you want to watch on your TV, your tablet, your phone to watch all of your game.
Sounds like you've had some time to put some thought into this.
I've just thought of this with a lot of games.
Okay.
Because it allows you to know what your start time is. It's fair on the midweek. Now, on the weekends, if you want to stagger it and go at all these different times, that's fine. I'd rather personally have a time and a window that we all know when the games are going to take place.
Yeah.
And you just got a serious whip around. And on SEC Network, you're showing it on replay anyway. It's always on a replay. So why are we kidding ourselves? Why are we backing up these ridiculous start times to 8 o'clock or later in your local time zone on a weeknight and killing your chance of having the type of crowd that you should have?
Yeah.
At most of your markets. When you're doing it for TV and we're used to consuming it different ways, or even on replay if we want to see it that way.
I argue, because when I'm at home, different story. I can stay up and watch games. When I covered Kansas, we had a late game. It was at Allen Fieldhouse. I'm sure dictated by television. We had a late game one night. And Allen Fieldhouse, it is a bandbox. Like, you're sitting right on the court. Like, for press row, it's right on the court. And it was a blowout, and I was kind of sitting there like this.
Yeah.
And who gets put on TV?
You.
But the sleepy girl who was supposed to be sitting there covering the game.
Yes.
So I do argue that we don't need to have games that late. But
I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for anybody. I just think, again, we talk about ratings and everything, but I watched and I'm not even going to say the league because it doesn't matter. But I watched a college basketball matchup where I promise you, counting workers, counting people that I could see working the game, there weren't 100 people in that gym.
Yeah.
And it's being televised.
I feel like that's some bowl games too.
A lot of them. And that's fine. I get you're doing it for TV. And for these leagues that don't draw crowds, that's great. And you should be, frankly, having to play, if you want on TV, you should have to play where? But when you're the SEC, why do we have to wait until after 8 o'clock? When a kid's playing a Tuesday night game, at 8 o'clock.
Because they are students. They do have class.
They do have class.
Come on.
But it's a 9 o'clock start in the Eastern time zone sometimes. 8 o'clock Central. I just think it's, by the time you get back, I know they adjust class schedules. But it's, especially when we have different ways of consuming it. I understood.
I know.
When you had to watch it, but when you can actually consume the game however you want, whenever you want, and so few of us watch something live in its first run. Big games, I get it. Everybody wants to be around the TV. You want to listen on radio. Thank God they do. But it doesn't have to be that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be that way all the time.
Okay, we're going to quickly touch on this because we're going to talk just a little bit of football because the nightmares are slowly abating and we don't have them as fresh in our heads anymore. State of the state right now with Alabama football.
Yeah.
Where would you put the season-ending grade as we wrapped up 2024, entering 2025?
I will go with some of the fan. I will meet the fans in the middle probably.
Okay.
And I will say B-.
B-, okay. Okay.
I will say B-. You won 9 ball games.
You did?
You played in a great
It wasn't 10.
It wasn't 10. It wasn't 6 or 7.
You're right.
It wasn't 4 or 5. there were a couple of games Alabama could have lost, and it is a seven win season.
But that last one that I would have to say in Tampa left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Don't disagree at all. And that's one of the reasons why I was so disappointed that the comeback wasn't completed, because I felt that was going to be Jalen's last game, period. Mm-hmm. Would have been wonderful to see him go out with a win. And even though people would have said, doggone it, Jalen, you put us in a horrible spot at the beginning, but, man, you gutted it out and got us a win at the end. I would have loved to have seen that for him, his legacy, and to make the offseason a little quieter, just a little bit.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you weren't playing in the bowl game you're expected to, or the level of bowl game you're expected to. Definitely what won't be expected. The expectation is higher for next year. The ranking won't be in the preseason, but the fan expectation will be. It's a really important year. But I don't think that it was as bad as some people are making it out to be, with all of the transition, with all of the change. You know what? If you had told me that Alabama loses to
Vanderbilt, Tennessee,
well,
Oklahoma,
I was going to say,
Michigan.
if you substitute Georgia for Vanderbilt, man, it's really bad that I'm forgetting who all we played now.
Well, that's okay, because I was going to say, what about if you remember that we started 2024 by losing to Michigan and ended 2024 by losing to Michigan?
No doubt. But I'll go another route. All right, Michigan beat Ohio State. But if you substitute the loss to Michigan to Ohio State, you feel different. One thing, you're in the playoff.
Do you feel that the committee got it right?
No, and yet I can't argue with it.
Okay.
We lost to Vanderbilt. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about as it relates to Alabama. I can't argue it. Mm-hmm. We lost to Vandy and to an Oklahoma team that had to beat us to get into a bowl, and we didn't just lose, we got embarrassed. Mm-hmm. Okay? I can't argue that. There's no shame in losing to Tennessee. Even though I can argue we should have won, we didn't play well and should have won that game, obviously. But there's no, I never thought I'd say this at the start of the year. The Oklahoma worst was far worse than the Vanderbilt loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oklahoma was far worse because it was most recent on the minds of the fans. Vanderbilt turned out to be a better team than Oklahoma. You could make the argument, you caught them at the wrong time, or they caught you at a great time is more like it.
Yeah.
But we knew what was out there for us, and we played terrible against Oklahoma on the offensive end. Mm-hmm. When it was all right there in front of you, you knew going into that game, you win it, you beat Auburn. You may not be in the SEC championship, but you probably are. And then if you lose in the SEC championship and you've got 3 losses, and as I remember now, yeah, you're definitely in the SEC championship if you beat Auburn and
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma and then Auburn. You're in it. But you didn't get it done. Your 3rd loss would have come in the championship game, and I absolutely could have argued that Alabama would deserve to get in.
Yeah. Oh, I think
having to play in the championship game, just like it would have been very easy for SMU to argue we lost on a hiccup. I'll do you one better. Dang it, if Clemson had done what they should have done and just lost, or finished off SMU and blown them out.
I know.
We're still in. Even with the 3 losses, we're still in.
Okay.
Dang it, Dabo, you're not going to get Alumnus of the Year. You messed that one up as much as you could for your old school.
2 more things before we go. Number 1, now with Quinn Ewers declaring for the NFL, will Alabama's quarterback come from within the system, or do you see a portal transfer for next year? Not that Quinn
my
Ewers.
initial look.
Not that Quinn Ewers was the. Was
I think they love what they've got.
Okay.
I think they love who and what they've got. That they believe they can win immediately with the returning guys.
Okay.
Whoever steps up, and they really like what they got in the recruiting cycle for the future. Okay. I think they feel really good about that spot. That doesn't mean they won't if somebody falls in their lap. I don't know who it would be.
Yeah.
But he said, he being Kalen DeBoer, you're rarely ever going to see 4 guys that you think have the chance to start for you anymore at the quarterback position. He had 4 guys on campus this past year that you felt like, we got a pretty good chance to win. Whichever one of them is out there, we got a good chance. You've got 3 right now, and you lost one to the transfer portal. You're losing one to the draft. But with what you picked up in the signing class, you've got 3 guys. Okay. You got 3 guys.
And finally, if you had to put a percentage on it, the likelihood that Ryan Grubb will join the coaching staff next year as offensive coordinator?
That'd be tough to give you a percentage because I would have thought you would have heard an announcement by now.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Not that it's too late, obviously, but I just felt like you might have heard something on the Alabama end. I know you heard a lot of speculation, but, Seahawks are done, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And he's done.
Yeah, he's done. So, he's definitely available. But you know how also stuff works? A lot of times the deal's done, you just don't hear about it.
Yeah.
He may already have his deal, or at least the agreement, I'm coming back. Maybe he's checking. Maybe he's got something out there with another NFL job or something out west that fits his family better that he's trying to look at first, knowing that Kalen says, all right, we got another month. Yeah. If you want to wait, we're okay. I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Just curious. You got an ear to the ground.
That's normally because I've fallen down and I hadn't gotten up yet.
Well, we will be listening Saturday, 11 o'clock. What time do y'all take the air? It's 11 o'clock.
What time's the tip? It's a noon Eastern, 11 Central. That means that we'll go on the air at 10 Central.
Okay. Well, we will be listening.
Breakfast in the Bluegrass.
That's right. And we can always find you at chrisstewart.online. 2 S's. I always do that and you get mad.
2 S's,
2
no clue.
S's for chrisstewart.online. A big thanks to everybody up here for, Ryan Brown.
God love him.
Our number 1 pinch hitter back there. We got to thank him for making all things possible today. Of course, the Next Round guys, you can catch them every single day. Cover Crimson, everything you need, you can find right there. I'm Kelly Hunter. My new friend, Chris Stewart.
I've just met.
It's been great seeing you. And, Chris, give them what they came for.
We roll Tide.
We'll see y'all next week. Take care.